Hi everyone, my name is Jamesh Patel and I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about war. Now, the topic of this video is going to be, can war ever end, or can there be world peace on an international level? But before we get into that, let's ask ourselves a quick question. Why do people go to war? Now, the answer is not as simple as the question. There are lots of reasons to go to war, but one of the biggest reasons is that people want more, whether it be land, power, or even revenge. So let's put this into perspective. Let's say there are two nations, Nation A and Nation B. Now, Nation A has a lot of land while Nation B doesn't. At the same time though, Nation B has a large military while Nation A doesn't. So suppose Nation B for some reason needs Nation A's land. A has something B needs and B has the means to take it. This is one of the most common backdrops of war. Now, because B clearly has military advantage over A, after years of war, it does end up succeeding in taking the land previously owned by A. After this happens, A's at a loss, but the destruction and havoc that B caused has brought its people closer than ever, and they rebuild. Though the war is over, A and B are now in tension with each other, and while this tension can't really stop, it doesn't mean it can't slow down and fade away. This is where politics and trade come into play. Suppose after years of rebuilding, A comes out stronger and more spirited than ever before. The war has caused advances in technology, medicine, and militia for A far past anyone else on the planet, let alone B. If A continuously manufactures something that B needs, B can't just take it anymore. Not only does B not possess the power to take it, but it'll also need a constant flow of that product, meaning B cannot, so to speak, cut open the golden goose, or they lose it. Therefore, B decides to make an agreement with A, one that will mutually benefit each party. At this point in time, A can either deny B the right to its product, or it can swallow its pride and benefit from a new relationship. This demonstrates that peace and hatred can coexist without violence, and that's a really important point to make because that's what's been happening in the world for the past 40 years. A real-world example of this would be the relationship between the US and China. China and the US don't really like each other, but China has the power to cheaply produce products that the US needs, and the US has money to pay for them. So, for the time being, we tolerate each other, and the chances of starting a war with China become very slim since the US needs China and China needs the US. While this concept of mutual benefit is implemented in every nation in the world, it creates a network of trade and dependence whose mutual benefits outweigh the need for any war between them. Now that we have a good grasp of the reasons for a war, we can move on to the factors of it. Webster's dictionary defines violence as the use of force to harm someone. Violence is something that war cannot exist without. Seth Borenstein, a science writer and professor at NYU, says that the world has seen an overall decrease in violence over the last few hundred years. He explains the reason for that is, over generations, IQ has been getting higher. Now, depending on the values and ideologies you grew up with, intelligence does not necessarily equate to moral development. Adolf Hitler is seen as one of the smartest leaders in history because of the effect he had on so many people, but he was still the reason for so much death and destruction. But Hitler was also a sociopath. So, though there are exceptions, there's a clear and strong correlation between intelligence and reluctance to hurt other people. Now, between violence, death, and destruction, war is clearly a bad thing, but at the same time, it also has its benefits. Ian Morris, a history professor at Stanford University, wrote an entire book about why war is good for society and why it actually helps people in the long run. He states a few reasons that war is a good thing in moderation for society. So the first reason he states is, while war is the worst imaginable way to create larger, more peaceful societies, it is pretty much the only way humans have found. This makes sense, because in a way, after a war, two parties are more likely to like each other when they mutually hate a third. Another reason Morris has for believing war is good is that over the long run, large societies forged from war have made us richer. Though the Native Americans had to suffer so that whites could have land in the Americas, it did lead to all this advancement. That begs the question, was all their suffering worth how much the human race has progressed over the years? Well, there's no real answer to that question since people have different values. Now, Morris's final point is a little difficult to understand. He says that humans are getting so good at war that they are putting war out of business. So right now, almost everyone that matters has nuclear weapons, but nobody wants to fire them because of the concept of mutually assured destruction. The idea that if you fire a missile while it's in the air, I have time to fire mine back. So we all have the means to act, but those actions have consequences. So now that we have a good grasp of war, let's bring everything together. The fact that people get smarter leads to a decrease in violence, and a decrease in violence leads to reluctance to go to war. On a national level, trade independence causes avoidance of war, and trade is growing. War is becoming so destructive, it's starting to not be worth going to war. So with these things combined, the final verdict is that war has a lot of reasons to permanently retire. Whether or not it will is theory, but even if it did, it probably wouldn't be for a long time. Now, I think I've covered everything, so everyone, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Taking a deep breath, and as you breathe out, feel your body begin to relax. Now imagine that you are standing in a crystal cave. It's a huge cave, and the walls and the ceiling high above you are made of clear, sparkling, beautifully colored crystals all around you. And the cave is full of light, colorful, bright light. There are crystals of ruby red, deep, deep red. There are orange crystals, as bright as the oranges on the trees. Beautiful, bright orange crystals. There's yellow citrine, sparkling, bright. You feel the warmth of the light on your body, soothing, relaxing, healing. Just the feeling of the warm light makes you want to relax and let go. And you take a deep breath and let it fall away. And you notice crystals of blue, sapphire blue, of amethyst, lavender. And there are clear crystals with just reflecting all of the other beautiful, bright, colorful lights all around you. And you just want to float up into the light, to feel free, relaxed, energized and confident in this beautiful crystal cave, surrounded by the colorful, sparkling light of the crystals all around you. Now when you're ready, take in a deep breath, and as you breathe out, have a gentle stretch. Whatever feels comfortable for you right now. You feel energized and confident, still warmed and uplifted by that beautiful, colorful light. You're deeply relaxed and ready to enjoy a wonderful, beautiful day.